Today, we're diving into one of the most prescribed antibiotics on the entire planet. But you probably know it by a different, much catchier name. And that's exactly where we're going to start.
So have you ever had one of those nasty bacterial infections and your doctor hands you a prescription for a Z Pak? Well, there's a very good chance that Z Pak was Azithromycin. So let's break down what this incredibly common medicine actually is, what it does, and how it really works its magic.
All right, here's our game plan. We'll start with the basics of the Z Pak itself. Then we'll look at exactly what kinds of infections it's designed to fight. After that, we'll get into its really clever mechanism, cover how to use it safely, and wrap it all up with a big picture takeaway.
Okay, first things first. What exactly is this medicine that's practically become a household name?
So, Azithromycin belongs to this family of drugs called Macrolide antibiotics. Now, this group is known for being able to tackle a really wide range of bacteria, and its popularity is no accident. It's that versatility and effectiveness that make it a go-to choice for doctors all over the globe. We know it's versatile, but what does that really mean? Let's get specific about the actual battles this antibiotic is sent in to fight.
And wow, the list is pretty long. We're talking about all those common respiratory infections. Think pneumonia, bronchitis, and sinus infections. It's also used for ear and throat infections, certain skin infections like cellulitis, and it even treats some STIs like chlamydia and gonorrhea. Heck, it's even a useful tool against stuff like traveler's diarrhea.
Okay, now this is where you can see its incredible range, right down at the microscopic level. See, azithromycin is what we call a broad-spectrum antibiotic. It can handle gram-positive bacteria, which have these thick cell walls, and gram-negative ones, which have thinner, more complex walls. But it doesn't stop there. It even tackles what are called atypicals. These are bacteria that don't even have a traditional cell wall at all. This ability to fight such different kinds of bacteria is exactly why it's prescribed for so many different illnesses.
This is where it gets really cool. I mean, how does one little pill actually stop a huge bacterial infection dead in its tracks? Well, the answer is basically a brilliant bit of molecular sabotage.
So inside every single one of those bacteria is this tiny little machine called the 50S ribosomal subunit. The absolute easiest way to think of it is as the bacterium's personal protein factory. It's just humming along, constantly building all the proteins the bacterium needs to function, to repair itself, and, most importantly, to multiply and make you even sicker.
And this is the drug's whole strategy. Azithromycin gets inside the bacterium, finds that 50S protein factory, and just latches right on. It basically throws a giant wrench in the gears, blocking the entire production line. And without new proteins, the bacteria can't build, they can't grow, they can't reproduce. The whole infection just grinds to a halt. Now here's a number. This number explains one of the Z Pak's most famous features: 68 hours.
That's 68 hours? That's its half-life. That's how long it takes for just half of the drug to be cleared from your body. And for an antibiotic, that is incredibly long. It's the real reason why Z Pak is often just that simple 5-day course, because even after you take that last pill, the drug is still hanging around in your system, still at effective levels, continuing to fight off the infection for days. It just makes it so much easier for people to actually finish the whole treatment.
Of course, with any powerful drug, you've got to use it correctly. So let's go over the practical, essential stuff for using azithromycin safely.
Those things can actually vary quite a bit depending on what you're treating. That classic Z Pak for something like pneumonia is usually a bigger dose on day 1 than a smaller dose for the next 4 days. But for something like chlamydia, it might just be a single one-time dose. And for kids, the dose has to be calculated super carefully based on their weight.
Look, like any medicine, there can be side effects. The most common ones are usually related to your stomach. Nausea, diarrhea, maybe some stomach pain. But there are also some serious, though thankfully rare, risks that doctors always watch out for. Things like an effect on the heart's rhythm called QT prolongation, or in some cases, potential liver injury.
And there are a few really crucial precautions to keep in mind. First, you want to avoid taking antacids with magnesium or aluminum right around the time you take your dose. Why? Because they can actually stop your body from absorbing the medicine properly. It's also super important that your doctor knows if you're on any other meds that can affect your heart rhythm. But on a positive note, it's generally considered safe to use during pregnancy if a doctor decides it's necessary.
So after all that, what's the bottom line here? What's azithromycin's real place in our medical toolkit today?
This quote from our source material really just nails it. It's a powerful, effective tool that's safe for the vast majority of people. The key phrase, though, the part we really need to pay attention to, is when prescribed correctly. It's a vital weapon in our arsenal, but it's one that has to be used wisely.
And that really leads us to our final thought. We have this incredible drug that can literally shut down bacterial factories. But bacteria are smart, you know? They are constantly evolving. And this raises a huge, critical question for the future of medicine. What do we do when our best tools start to lose their edge against an enemy that just refuses to quit? It's something to think about. Thanks for joining this explainer.